Hello, I'd like to share something today which I find quite cool and can add a nice element to your reports, which is dynamic axes. Can also be used as a dynamic legend, but I kind of prefer it as a dynamic axis, so that's what we'll call it, but you can use it for both. So as you can see here, I have a visualization, I have values, and I have months, and I have something here which says month. This is my slicer. If I click on team, it now says team. It's football team. So the values are the same, but I can change my axes based on what I click on. And it's actually pretty straightforward to do. I mean, there's a couple of bits and pieces to it, but it's not so complex. So we'll just dive straight into that now, and we have a look how it's done. So first of all, you can see at the bottom here, we have a table called variable axes, which we'll create very soon. We also have in our relationship view, we have this variable axis, and it's connected to two tables with inactive relationships. That part is also important. Obviously, it's all important. Goes together as one thing. So yeah, how do we create the variable axes table? It can be done in with DAX, with so like a union between tables. If you want to do it that way, I can share a link in this video, and there's a nice instructions by BI Elite. Did a great job of that. I want to do it a slightly different way, and I want to do that in Power Query. I prefer doing this sort of thing in Power Query, but whatever makes you happy. So I'll just go and I'll edit this query so we can see how that happened, how we did this. So first of all, what we did was a union between two tables. Now in this case, I used two tables. You can use multiple tables, but I've used two. So the two tables that I have, as you can see here, is different data types we have, or different dimensions, I should say. We have football teams, as you've just seen, and we have months, which you've also seen. That's what I was toggling between. But currently that's a list. So as you can see here, we've got list distinct. So the distinct values from whatever list you may have. And yeah, the union of that list. Now in this case, actually, I think both of my data sources, they are already distinct. So I didn't need the distinct part. However, if you don't have that, then you need to use, of course, the distinct to ensure that you're pulling in distinct data. And then list union. So I'm saying take the distinct values and put them together. So append them essentially, the list union, from two data sources. One is my table, which is called team. One is my query, which is called table, which you can see here. And the other one is phases. So from from query table, take the column team, and from query phases, which you can see here, take the column month, and just put them together. That's all we've done. But that's not enough. We, of course, need to convert that to a table, which I've done. And the standard apply step of renaming it from simply column to value, because they are my values. So it's just a small part. What I've done next is added an index column. Now that comes in helpful for two reasons. One, you'll immediately see, and the second reason you'll see later once we've loaded the data, or yeah. So I've used that index column so I can identify what this column is going to be called. Yeah. So I've said basically, we can just have a look at that. If the index, as you can see here, is greater than or equal to 21, greater than or equal to 21, then month. If not, it's team. Now obviously it's a bit more straightforward because I only have two tables. It can be more complex the more tables you bring together, but still very, very achievable. Yeah. So I've done that in a lazy way. I've called it custom and then I've changed the name. Obviously, do a better job than I did. You don't call it, custom. It doesn't matter. So I have my value. I have my index, which is still important. Don't get rid of that. And I have my axes. The axes is of course what we use as a slicer. And the value is what we see in the visualization itself. So this is all we did. Again, we used this to bring in the data, and then we used an index. The index helped us create the custom column, which is going to be our axes label stroke slicer. And then we click on close and apply. In this case, I don't have to because I've already done it. So once that is loaded, once you have got that query and we've loaded it into Power BI, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have your variable axes table, and you're going to have to connect those to the existing tables. In this case, I've connected a many to one and many to one. And important is that they are both inactive. You don't want those to be active because we're going to write some DAX to use relationship. So we're going to say when something is selected, then use this relationship. So the DAX part. Dynamic value. We have switch. So when you see switch, you can already assume that the rest that follows is quite repetitive. So it looks like a lot, but it's actually not a lot at all. Switch. If our selected value in the table, variable axes is month, then show total points, use this relationship. Use relationship variable axes value, our new table, value connected to phases month. If the selected value is team, which is the one you can see here, if it's team, then again show total points, use relationship, variable axes value, here, team. So depending on what we clicked on in that table, show us a value, in this case, total points, using the relationship which we just created, but on active, and this activates that relationship that we specify here. So we only have 2. If we had 3, 4, we would just have to write this a few more times. That's it. It's really, this part is really nice and simple because you're saying selected value, whatever it is, whatever you want to show, and then the relationship. Else blank. It's nice and simple. Works really well. And that's what you end up with. So then we take our dynamic value and we stick it in. And because, of course, in this case, this slicer is selected to, single select, it's always going to show something. If I were to take that off, if I were to empty it, then of course you'd see everything mixed together. So you don't want that. So you want to have your single select switched on. Cool. The final part is again when we're going to come back to the index that we created, that I said you would need later. So when you bring the data in the Power Query, it brings it in the order in which it is in the initial table. So in this case, the football teams were in order of their league position. So if now I were to say I want to sort by value, which is what I have here, I'm sorting it from high to low. Fair enough, legitimate. Of course, sort ascending, the other way. I can also choose to sort it by value, which is this value. And in this case, of course, it's going to be alphabetical. A, B, all the way to W. Standard alphabet stuff. And of course, descending, the same thing. And if I click on month, then it shows that September, October, November, March. Yeah, so there's no great, well, there is not a huge logic to it in any way. However, if we now use the index, so I say the value, sort the value by the index, that will change things up a little bit. That will allow us to see the data in the order in which it was in the original tables, because we have the index that we brought in. So now, because the football season runs from September, October, November, December, January, February, March, we have what we need. And if I click on team, it's going to show us in this order, which is, and there is a logic to it, that is the current league position of the teams. So Man City are top of the league, Sheffield United are bottom. And just so you know, points isn't the points in the league, it's points of that players of. So there is that, it does make sense. Because it's not league position points, it's points awarded to the players based on fantasy football. It's awesome. So the index part is important, and this is one of the reasons I liked to do it in Power Query. Well, because I prefer doing stuff there anyway, and because I think the index really helps for that one little last section. Cool, that's it. You can also combine that if you want with, so you have dynamic axes, you can then combine that with a dynamic measure, so you can choose the measure as well as the axes. So it makes it really nice for the user to show different values, different measures in different ways. Yeah, I like that a lot. I hope you enjoy it. As ever, if you've got a better way, if there's something that you don't like, just let me know. But I hope it adds something to your reports, or at least something to your knowledge, so you can also share it with others. And as ever, it would be great if you could click subscribe if you like this video and you'd like to see more in the future. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.